Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's Oracle Apex office hours. Welcome to 2021. And hopefully today we answer the question, can professional developers use low code? I hope all of you are healthy and safe. And for those many friends of ours in the great state of Texas, I hope you are warm as well. I have a few announcements, and then we'll get right into today's session. The last Apex office hours we had was in December, and this was with Niels and Richard talking about Flows for Apex, which is a open source process modeler for Apex. You can scan the QR code there and look at the replay of this. And for people who are new to Apex, you can view all past Apex office hours at this URL, apex.oracle.com/office hours. One thing I want to get ahead of is there's a forthcoming database release called Database 21C. And the bits of Apex, the software of Apex, will not be distributed with this version of the database. And that's the only thing that's changing. This was done really at our request and nobody else's. So I don't want anybody to read into this otherwise. It's just the bits themselves are not going to be shipped with Database 21C. This does not impact the license of Apex in any way. The license remains the same. The support remains the same. Part of this reason has been after a database version is released, it might be a year or two before someone actually installs it, and the version of Apex in that distribution is old, and we want people to always try and stay up with the latest. So a licensed database customer can go to apex.oracle.com/download, download the latest version of Apex, install it in their database, and they're good to go. So nothing has changed with how one is supported or licensed for Apex. Just understand the bits themselves won't be on the Database 21C distribution. Also, for those of you who might be new to Apex, just to repeat this, back in January, there was a global launch of a dedicated Apex service on the Oracle Cloud targeted at low-code application developers called Oracle Apex Application Development, or we like to say the Apex service. And I have a QR code, a link to the actual press release, and there are links to other resources, to labs, to the announcement blog, etc. So the focus on Apex has never been brighter at Oracle in my career, and this is just further testament to that. Also, I have a special thanks to everyone in the Apex community. We asked you to complete a survey for the Gartner Peer Insights, and you'll see some more formal PR from Oracle on this. But if you go to the Gartner Peer Insights review site for enterprise low-code application platforms, you'll see this nice little customer choice 2021 in the upper right, and we are one of 3 vendors to achieve that distinction. And really, we are grateful to you for all your feedback and participation here. Really, you have been an immense help, and thank you for this. In 2020, Oracle editors had written a number of articles featuring developers in the community around the world. And we're actually continuing this effort now, but not necessarily in a Forbes article. I was contacted by the editor of Oracle Magazine and Oracle Prophet Magazine, and they want to feature an application and a person or group from the Apex community each month. And so very apropos, we're calling this Real World Low Code Oracle Apex App of the Month. This will be written by the Oracle editors. It will be published on the Oracle Apex blog. There will be a photograph of the person or team, just like you saw in the Forbes articles. And I want everyone to know that they and we are seeking a wide variety of people and solutions. So if you're one person in Bangladesh who's written a nifty application, you have every bit a chance of being featured here as someone who might work for a Fortune 100 enterprise company. So we want a wide diversity of industries, geographies, scales, and we just put out an application to collect this information at this bit.ly link here, or scan the QR code for Apex App of the Month. And I have language on this application, and I want people to know that any information you provide there will only be used for this evaluation. It won't be shared or used in any other way. And you have my word on that. The editors would like to feature the first person or app of the month beginning April 1st, and I encourage you to submit your information there. If you have any questions, DM me on Twitter. I'd be happy to answer any questions. And so let's get to today's session. This is about real world low code. And often there's the perception that low code is only for citizen developers or not professional developers. And today we have a number of partners who they are professional development organizations, and they have really chosen Apex as their platform of choice. And I wanted them to convey why they did this and also show some real world examples of enterprise applications. It's far more than just a simple spreadsheet replacement. So thanks to Jon, Przemysław, Simon, and Francis, who they've been very gracious with their time and preparation. And I'll hand it over to Jon Dixon, please.
So my name is Jon Dixon. I'm one of the partners of JMJ Cloud. Today, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about JMJ Cloud and who we are, why we chose to focus on Apex and ORDS, and then go through some real-world projects that we've implemented in Apex over the last couple of years, and then tell you how Apex can help you integrate with other cloud services and products, and we'll finish up with a demo of an Apex application that we built. So I would say 100% of the projects that we're working on now involve either Apex and or ORDS. We've been loving and using Apex since 2011. As well as Apex, one of our core competencies is Oracle ERP, and we've been involved in Oracle E-Business Suite for nearly 30 years and Oracle ERP Cloud for the last 4 or 5 years. So why Apex and ORDS? Well, our customers demand enterprise-grade scalability and reliability, and we get that with Apex and, of course, the Oracle database. It facilitates rapid application development, and it's pretty easy to cost justify, being that it's free with a licensed copy of the Oracle database. Its beautiful UI engages users like EBS and ERP Cloud frankly can't. And I worked with Oracle Consulting for about 20 years. I never came across a development team within Oracle that are as customer and developer focused and excited about their product as the Apex development team, and they're great to work with. And it's also part of a great, vibrant and diverse community of Apex developers. So it's really important to us. Has extensive REST integration capabilities, which is important to us, and it's just as at home in the cloud as it is on premise. So why ORDS? Well, you need ORDS to run Apex anyway. It's essentially the middleware for Apex, but it also makes it easy to provide secure REST endpoints to the Oracle database using SQL and PL SQL. And that can be the gateway to integrations or building REST services for iOS mobile apps. So let's take a look at some of the projects we've been involved in. So on the ERP Cloud side, our projects can be categorized in 3 ways. One is embedding Apex pages within ERP Cloud. So the user is essentially in an ERP Cloud session. They click on a menu and then they see an Apex page in a frame inside their ERP Cloud session. They can interact with that Apex environment, which is running in a PaaS system. There's also integrations where we pull data from other systems, cloud and on-premise systems, into an Apex environment, process that data and push it back out to ERP Cloud, or vice versa. And the third category is where we've helped some other software vendors who are building applications in Apex to enhance ERP Cloud, where we're helping them to figure out the best ways of pulling data out of ERP Cloud, processing it, applying their secret sauce to that data, if you like, and then potentially reporting on that or sending data back to ERP Cloud. So this is a screenshot from one of those embedded applications. So the menu at the top is from ERP Cloud, and the frame in the middle is coming from an Apex PaaS environment. In this case, the user is able to update projects information in this Apex app in a much simpler way than they would have been able to in ERP Cloud, and it's pushing projects information back and forward between the PaaS environment using web services. This is an example of an integration. So again, it's embedded in an ERP Cloud menu. And we're pulling files, in this case, from Concur, which is a cloud-based expense system, processing that data, and then pushing data out to ERP Cloud, in this case, General Ledger and projects. And we're managing that whole process from an Apex PaaS environment. This is the third use case, where in this case, the customer is pulling large volumes of journals from ERP Cloud, applying their secret sauce to those journals, and then pushing adjustment journals back to ERP Cloud. So it's just a standalone application that does that processing for that customer. On the e-business suite side, we built another number of applications integrating with e-business suite. Probably the largest is a plant operations management system. It allows 40 plus plants across the US and Canada to manage their operations, generates about 100,000 page views a day. And there's also 2 companion mobile iOS apps that we built that add another 50,000 or so REST calls a day, all running in their EBS database quite comfortably. We also built a high volume order capture system to allow their customer service reps to rapidly enter orders and create customers from Apex, and then integrate that data to eBusiness Suite. And that's a demo we'll see in a few minutes. We also worked with a cosmetic manufacturer to help their chemists to manage formula compliance, again, integrating with EBS data behind the scenes, and also integrations. In this case, we built an integration to Oracle Service Cloud. So we push data out to Service Cloud by calling web services, and then Service Cloud could call back to EBS through ORDS endpoints. Apex is a great solution for reporting on EBS data and building dashboards. We built a number of those, great success. And it's also great for putting a modern twist on EBS processes. So in this instance, we built a skin, if you like, on top of the appraisal process within EBS. So that employees who don't use EBS very often, maybe just for the appraisal process, can easily navigate that process and don't have to be encumbered by EBS. And of course, Apex is great for standalone applications. Some examples: change management request system, identity management, EBS monitoring applications, and conversions and integrations. So I talked a little bit about how Apex could make it easy to integrate with other products and services. Well, the good news is many of those integrations come out of the box with Apex. And the one that probably brings the biggest smile to our customers' face is single sign-on. So they can log into their Apex applications using their favorite authentication method, whether it's Active Directory, Google, Okta, Twitter, you name it. And there's also out-of-the-box integrations for Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, specifically object storage. So you can get and put files into Oracle Cloud Infrastructure just using configurations within Apex. But you can also integrate with other cloud services and even other cloud providers using REST integrations. That plant management app I talked to you about, those iOS apps are posting images to S3 in Amazon constantly. We have around 40 million images there. And then the front office folks can view and manage those images from their Apex application. You could also send and receive SMS messages via Twilio. And using Microsoft's Graph APIs, interact with Office 365. Pretty much any Office 365 service you can think about, you can interact with through those web services. Build your own chatbots, post files to SharePoint, pretty much anything. And there's also third-party providers like Apex Office Print, which provides a flexible template printing solution, a little bit like BI Publisher, that's tightly integrated with Apex and has a lot of features that make using that product easy within Apex. All right, so let's take a look at the demo. So this is an Apex application we built to help users enter and manage orders more easily in an eBusiness Suite environment. So I logged in using my EBS username and password, so I didn't have to remember another password. And I've got going to go ahead and create an order. So I just have to enter my plant, my customer, and a PO number, and then I can create that order. I'm going to enter some order line information, save the order, and now with one click, I can generate a work order, a shipment, and an invoice. So we've accumulated a number of processes behind that one button. And that invoice is coming out of Oracle eBusiness Suite, and you can see the live amount due remaining right from Apex. We can also provide the customer service reps previous communications with that customer and the order history. So when was the order booked, when was it shipped, when was it invoiced, etc. They can also print from this one screen, so they can print any documents related to this invoice. So in this case, I'm going to select 3 documents and email those documents to myself. This is using Apex Office Print to generate the PDF and then an Apex Mail API to send that PDF. We can also do attachments. In this case, we're storing them in Amazon S3. We can also let users, so if they have a walk-in customer, they can look up to see if that customer is already in Oracle and give them a nice match score to see how likely it is that that customer already exists. And if they don't think it exists, they can proceed and create that customer right in EBS. So they're not having to switch between EBS and Apex. Apex also allows us to provide UIs we just couldn't in EBS. So in this case, we're picking shipments to invoice. So we can select the shipments we want to invoice, shuttle them across, see a nice summary of what we're about to invoice, and then submit that batch of invoices. And of course, Apex is great for reporting. So we're going to take a look at the on-time delivery report. So we can select a range of dates to look at shipments. So we can see those shipments. Apex also allows us to add nice UI features like the on-time delivery percentage. But more than that, users can now use the full power of interactive reports to summarize, group, chart, hide columns, show columns, save their own versions of the reports, etc. I'm just going to show you one more report. This is, again, using the faceted search style of reporting. It's not using the out-of-the-box Apex faceted search, but we're allowing them to search on various facets of the data. And then again, use the power of interactive reports to do further analysis. All right, so that's the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for your time, guys, and have a great day.
Outstanding, Jon. Thank you very much. This was great. Next, we'll go to Przemysław Staniszewski from Pretius, please.
Okay, hello everyone. Very happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation. Today I would like to tell you a short story about our Apex experience, but also prove that with Apex you can do really big things, even if at the very beginning it may look just like a next nice simple framework. My name is Przemysław Staniszewski. I am head of low-code solutions at Pretius company. We are a team of over 120 IT experts, mostly focused on Oracle stack, including Java and database development, with a dedicated low-code department and over 30 Apex developers. You may know some of our open source projects like Apex plugins, including nested reports, context menu, or enhanced LOV. And if you develop international applications, you might have used our translateapex.com portal, which is the repository of Apex internal message translation for over 50 different languages. We are located in Warsaw, Poland, but acting globally, providing remote teams and entire development process to our customers. And to give you the example why we even selected Apex at the very beginning, the company is 14 years old. Everything started in 2006 when the founders decided to create a team of around 10 IT specialists to offer consulting and Java development for mobile providers. So at the very beginning, there were no low-code, no Apex, just the darkness. 2 years later, in 2008, the company was bigger. It hired about 20 persons, and we were involved in creating a new mobile provider in Poland. And as you can imagine, it was quite difficult and quite dynamic process. And at that time, the customer needed a quick reporting tool and asked us to look at the framework that seemed perfect for this task. And of course, it was Apex, and I was that junior Java developer who was asked to investigate this new fancy platform. Many years passed, the company entered new sectors and markets. The low-code team funded with just one person is currently a quarter of the company, uses different low-code platforms and has over 30 Apex specialists on board. But some things haven't changed. The chart that you can see is very important because it shows that from the very beginning, we as Apex developers competed with other mostly Java-based technologies. And you must also know that in Poland, where we started, there are not so many legacy applications or old forms-based systems that you can migrate to Apex. Many applications are new, so you compete with fancy technologies like Ruby, Angular, React, and so on. And you have to find a way to compare them to Apex and win this comparison. You have to make a difference in service, in development, delivery time, cooperation models, or effects that the customer expects. And the most important thing, you also have to create your logo, especially for the internal discussion with Java guys, because then they know that there is no kidding. Most of you probably know this text. It's a part of the Apex official website where you can find typical use cases of the framework. And of course, they are right, and you can find plenty of examples of implementing Apex as a form migration, spreadsheet replacement, or opportunistic apps. But today I would like to give you 4 examples of those critical enterprise systems that we developed for our customers. They are usually deeply hidden, and you won't find much information about them on the internet or during conferences. And in my opinion, it is extremely important to give this kind of examples because you have probably heard statements like this. Yeah, I have like a million times during internal or external discussions. So today I would like to give you some inspiration and prove that Apex is not just for simple or standard tasks. And I want to give arguments to discuss with your colleagues, superiors, or customers. You can use them if you think about implementing Apex in your organization or try to convince people that this technology suits better for your next project. So the first example, SMART, which is the acronym of Sophisticated Monitoring and Analysis of Risk Tool. An application was created as a new version of the tool originally developed in the OBIA. The customer, Emmer Healthtech, which is a part of Minihere Group, provides policy management, loss reserve setting, and portfolio monitoring solutions for the healthcare and insurance industry. The application doesn't look like a typical Apex design and has many business intelligence features, including dashboards or charts and KPIs customization. However, it was developed with the low-code approach. So most of the components are native Apex elements, the design is based on universal theme. And if some customization was required, it was done using Oracle Jet or creating dedicated plugins for reusability. And the customer wanted to create a cloud-ready application that replaces the existing on-premise solution and will allow selling the product in the SaaS model globally. And this, of course, happened. And the company currently operates in over 19 countries and has created really lovely marketing around this Apex-based product with, for example, the video that you are watching. So as you can see with Apex, you can create really nice and modern-looking applications. And these platforms helped in migration from OBIA and made it possible to introduce completely different sales models for the product. The second example, a product that we created several years ago and we keep developing its next versions. It is a sales commission system that allows you to gather data from different sources, create rules of calculations in a very flexible and graphical way, calculate commissions, create documents, transfer data to accounting systems, etc. It has been implemented in several companies, mostly from media, telco, and financial sectors, such as in Polish branch of BNP Paribas Bank. And every day it calculates thousands of commissions related to, for example, credit card transactions. As it is a product, it is extremely important to adapt it to a particular customer. And thanks to RDS, it is much easier to integrate with other systems by consuming or exposing web services. And continuous integration, unit tests, and release management help in application updates and additional features like, for example, globalizations, make it possible to adapt the application for different countries or regions. So as you can see, you can create not only Apex-based product, but also applications that are efficient and secure, so they can process millions of transactions and pass internal and external security tests, for example, in the financial environment. The next one, transport management system created for SPIDAC. It is a Swiss company that provides logistics solutions in Europe, Asia, and Africa. And for the branch in Africa, we created a core Apex-based systems to manage logistics operation in 7 countries in Eastern Africa. The process was originally covered by several Oracle Forms applications. So the customer decided to migrate them and unify in Apex, mostly to optimize the cost and start using machine learning features and migrate the application to the cloud in the future. What's more, this project was run in the co-creation model. So we work together with customers, developers, and teach them Apex so that the knowledge transfer is made during the project. And it's a magic of low code that you can work with the customers like this. And the last one, resource manager, application created for a company from the pharma sector to help manage over 25,000 employees. So salaries, allocation planning, HR processes, and so on, all were created in Apex with many Excel-like features, which you can see on the video. Similar to the first example, all additional features like the things you can see were created as close as possible to native Apex. So what you can see is interactive grid supported by its own API and Oracle Jet. What's more, the customer is strongly connected to Google, so the application is integrated with G Suite, entire G Suite ecosystem, at the level of authentication, but also at the level of, for example, Google Drive or Google Calendar. A critical project, the first one created with low-code platform in this department, and the one that proved that the development could be faster because it took like 4 times longer to provide exactly the same features in the classical Java or .NET approach at the POC stage. So if I can give you some advice for those who want to start using Apex or think about its greater use, the first one, start with something small. You don't have to begin with a critical system. It's much better to find some module or single process to cover in Apex. And thanks to this, you will be able to understand the tool and check whether it suits you. And even if the first application is simple, think big from the very beginning. As I showed, this tool is really powerful, and you never know how will your first application evolve. So don't let yourself and the technology to be labeled as the simple one. Be prepared for more complicated challenges. Learn new things, follow best practices, and be ready to respond to new opportunities when they occur, and they occur for sure. And the most important one, make the difference. Don't use Apex just as a next new framework, but as a new way of thinking. Historically, IT used to be the sector that speeds up the business. Nowadays, it's not so obvious, and the platforms like Apex can really be a game changer. So prove that you and your team are not only the next developers, but act more like consultants. Apex gives you great options to cooperate with business and with users very closely. And the user is your greatest treasure, because if she or he is happy with the application or with the cooperation process, you will gain the best possible ambassador for you and for Apex. And this is the way how we work at Pretius, by developing Apex applications with a team of experienced consultants and enthusiasts of this technology, pretty often in this co-creation model when the customer's team learn Apex with us during the project. By sharing the knowledge and giving back to the community, providing free Apex plugins, creating Translate Apex website, publishing blog posts, or speaking at the meetups and international conferences. And by doing all those things globally, from the US through Europe, Africa to Asia, to bring low-code and Apex revolution everywhere. And thank you. If you have any questions, feel free to ask during the Q&A. Thanks.
Perfect, Przemysław. I really love that. And I like your advice about starting small and thinking big, because it's been my experience that customers who start small, their mind opens up then to the possibilities, right? They realize everything that they have ahead of them, right?
This is also my experience. As I mentioned, I used to be the Java developer at the very beginning.
Yeah. Perfect. Thanks again, Przemysław. And if anybody has any questions for Przemysław, please ask them in the Q&A, and we'll advance to Simon Greenwood from DSP Explorer, please.
Hi, Joel. Hi, everyone. Thanks for attending today. So my name's Simon Greenwood. I'm the Development Services Director at DSP Explorer. And just a brief introduction about DSP Explorer. We've been going 25 years. We've got offices in 4 locations in the UK, 100 employees, and our focus is managed services, engineered systems, and Apex. So why did we choose Apex? Well, basically our technology heritage was Oracle Forms, reports, Portal, WebDB, PL/SQL web cartridge. We love the Oracle database. What was the next progression? And it was Apex, or HTMLDB as it was known back then. But I think for us, for a long time, Oracle Forms was sort of becoming viable to our customers. They expected more for less. Support was problematic. Users' expectations were ever increasing. There's a demand for browser-based solutions, and certainly a demand for getting a better return on investment. So Apex sort of made a real compelling case for us. And really, for us, there is a broad spectrum of use cases, and I think it's one of those development tools that actually does cover a broad spectrum of use cases where it's not a citizen developer tool, it's not a professional developer tool, it's all of those cases and in between. So whether you're doing extensions on EBS, you're writing progressive web apps, responsive applications, replacing legacy applications, Apex was certainly a great fit. And it's obviously got a great reporting capability with it. We sort of realized that you had to deliver quickly. I've always said that if there's a better tool, I'd be using it. I've been saying that for a very long time, because Apex just gets better and better in every version. And certainly low code is most definitely a way forward. So what is a competitive advantage for us as an Oracle partner, as a business? Well, rapid application development. Apex is the most productive data-driven IDE there is. We can deliver solutions very swiftly, competing against other technologies in tenders and bids. Apex is outstanding because you can just deliver so much more than you can other traditional ways, which the obvious one was Java for a long time. But the fact is, whatever you build, whether it's on premise, on cloud, whether it's a smartphone or a desktop, Apex is the same thing. You build it once, it deploys, it imports, exports to all of the platforms that the Oracle database can run on. And for us as a business, net new, and it's a term I'll probably use quite often throughout this presentation. It opens doors where there's no existing Oracle footprint. It gives us the opportunity because it's an easy demo, it's easy to explain, and there's been in many meetings I've been in where you can actually talk about Apex, and people see other use cases for it when actually the original intention of the meeting was something else, because Apex has so much to offer. And I guess that really moves on to what we call the wow factor. So visually, it just looks awesome. Functionally, again, as I said before, every version, it gets better and better. It's very impressive. And it's ahead of the curve. And I guess by accident, it was cloud ready before cloud was even a term. So, a browser-based solution that looks great, that can deliver fast. And it's very compelling and interesting and very appealing to people who've never seen it before, are all the reasons why we see it as being an advantage for us, certainly a competitive advantage as our tool of choice. So us as an Oracle partner, something that's close to what we do is, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. especially the next generation of cloud and Oracle infrastructure. So together, Apex and OCI is a great fit. And what I mean by that is that you can build low-code solutions very swiftly on an underlying sort of scalable infrastructure, and start small and scale out very quickly, as described in the last presentation. The Apex and the database, obviously, they are together, but the fact that it's on a public cloud offers you additional tools and services to get at, and as you get with Oracle on, and autonomous and so on, with the likes of, the solutions that and all the products that are available with the database now, and you get a lot with the Oracle database, and it runs on a multitude of platforms, as I said earlier. So whether you're on an infrastructure platform or a platform as a service or autonomous database, the deployment options make it an easy conversation for people. So and likewise, using OCI enables you to enhance that Apex platform, through load balancing, through sort of application firewalls, and additional security and data security, because there's obviously more options available through OCI. So those two together are great for us. And I think the summary of it is OCI and Apex. It is one tool, it's one platform, but it provides that flexibility, the elasticity, that consistency that you need when you're building applications. So advice as an Oracle partner to partners. Do your clients know that they have the rights to use Apex? As much as we're all fans of Apex, I'm sure most people on this session already know what Apex is, but there's so many clients out there who have an Oracle database and have no idea that they own the rights to use it. So let them know, share demo, let them know what Apex can do. It's a serious development tool as Apex. I think one thing right back at the beginning, Apex was marketed very much like an alternative to Microsoft Access. So anybody who had a need for anything other for a tool that was more complicated than Access wouldn't touch it. It is a serious development tool, so don't undersell it, promote it. The community. I've been around the Oracle community for a long time. The Oracle user group in the UK. I've been involved as a volunteer. I've never seen the enthusiasm or the number of attendees like you do for Apex, but it's backed up by I've worked with Oracle teams over the years as well, and the team who build Apex are by far the most receptive and helpful team I've come across. So I understand a lot more about where the product's going. I understand a lot more about the passion for the people, because previous products used Oracle I didn't. So it's great to know where it's going, and the community is fantastic. I guess looking at Apex, invest in Apex or partner with somebody who's invested in Apex, and we're fully invested. We think it's a great product, and I think what we've done over the last few years, because we've provided Apex services, we're actually doing that with a lot of partners who don't have that, are not able to make that investment, but can see the value in Apex. So as an Oracle partner, what are the top 3 use cases? Net new business applications that need building quickly, legacy on-premise apps that need rebuilding for cloud deployment or SaaS, ISVs, independent software vendors that need a new offering, like a SaaS offering, freshen up an interface, and are looking to scale on demand through using Apex and OCI. So I'm going to talk about some case studies, some real-world case studies. And I'll start off with a Forms to Apex project, which was for an ISV called Generis, which is part of the Landis Gear Group. So this application, it's a smart meter asset management application. It manages assets, it manages jobs, it manages the maintenance of metering equipment, and the application is called BSmart. And I believe that in total, all the deployments of BSmart are managing about 24 million smart meters, and they're an ever-growing thing, and probably most of you have got one in your house near your electricity or gas meter. But it was a complete conversion from Oracle Forms to Apex. There was about 90 forms. An application was at least 10 years old, very complicated forms. And basically, what we did was work with them to rebuild the application, reskill them in Apex, and now they've become self-sufficient. So, if you're going to move from Oracle Forms, it's probably going to be Apex, so it's probably not going to be, or it's probably going to be a completely different technology. and probably not Oracle technology, but based on the fact that Oracle Forms has so much reusable code that you can transform and refactor. I've yet to see a solution that could actually build Oracle Forms or transfer them into any other technology like Apex can. The next one is the NHS York specifically. So the example would be it's a tasking application. Prior to it being written in Apex, it was like on a pager system. And basically it's managing and sending tasks to medical staff via a progressive web app, which is actually based on Apex. So you've got the sort of PWA capabilities of, the easy install. It's not platform specific. You're not tied into Apple or Android. As if but it feels like a native app that it's on your desktop, and you've got the log-on capability. But it's using things like the notifications on your phone, because it's using Firebase, which is like a Google service, to provide those notifications. It allows you to manage users and groups. And there's a link there to a case study for it. So it's been really well received. It's made a big difference. And to deliver something like that in a proprietary Apple or Android based technology would have taken significantly longer. So the next one is for a company called BMI Healthcare. They're a private health company in the UK. They've got approximately 51 hospitals. And this application was to help them manage the production of documents. So for every hospital, there is a document or a brochure produced, which has adverts specific to the services that hospital provides, but also has some generic content that's used across all the hospitals. So we're using an external printing technology, which gives us lots of granular programmable opportunity to dynamically build the content per hospital, to enable us to produce a brochure in PDF, but also in a more high resolution as well, so it can go through a print process. So the pages are conditionally created based on hospital, based on the consultants that work there, but it's on a standard look and feel. And I believe they save themselves about £80,000 a year by having their own bespoke solution in Apex, because prior to that, they had a solution that was very expensive, lacking in terms of customization, and they only run it so many times a year, so it didn't seem very good value. But it was where Apex, using an external printing technology to give you a control and a low price point, it was very good, and they're very happy with it. And again, if you use the QR code, it will take you to BMI Healthcare's website, and you can actually see some of that printed out. So the next one is a Microsoft Access application that was moved to Apex, and this is for the Irish Post Office. So the easiest summary is that there's approximately 200 post offices across Ireland, and basically it's to coordinate and sort of manage the deliveries of cash and the denominations of cash required for those deliveries. I think a lot of the application, they were prior to this, a lot of the primary functionality was kept the same, the logic, and basically to minimize the user training, the retraining, and it is a mission critical application. It enables them to change the cash movements and adjustments based on circumstances, and like the third bullet point says, annual payments such as child benefit, it's very flexible. It looks very much like a form system, but it was actually previously a Microsoft Access system.
Hey, Simon, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You have 1 minute, if you could, please.
Yeah, sure. So just to really finish off, if you're using Apex, think of it this way: is that if you've got your Oracle house, you should have an Oracle toolbox, and Apex should be in the toolbox. It's not just about data-centric Oracle applications. It's about any data sources, and it's a web framework you can use the best of the web. And the takeaway is, and the same for us as a partner as anybody else, 6 things the boss needs to know. It's fast, it's cost effective, it's responsive, and it's easy to learn. So that concludes the presentation. Thank you very much.
Outstanding. Thank you, Simon. And if anybody has any questions for Simon, please do ask in the Q&A. and we'll switch to Francis Mignault from Insum Solutions.
My name is Francis Mignault. I'm from Insum Solutions. At Insum, we're a one-stop shop for Oracle Apex. We've been doing Apex since it came out in 2004. We were founded in 2002. We have about 90 employees now, and we have two offices in the US, one in Asia now, and one in Peru, of course, one in Canada. We have about 10 Oracle ACEs and 20 Apex certified Oracle Apex developers. And we do everything Apex. So from cloud, forms modernization, ERP extensions, and consulting, coaching, training, so everything Apex really. We've just been certified the ISO 9001 in January. So our commitment to Apex, we have dedicated practices like Oracle Cloud, again, forms modernization, ERP extensions, which is mainly around Fusion and e-business suite. And consulting, we're also very active in the Apex community. And we do a lot of conferences and are active with hosting events, presenting at many different conferences again, and also developing methodologies, tooling, and things around Oracle Apex. So today I've been asked to talk about how we use Apex. We basically use it generally in 5 different use cases. So opportunistic app, like for example, COVID-19 or any new regulations that may occur, we're able to build production apps quickly. We do a lot of Excel replacement and also ERP extensions, like I mentioned before, a lot of legacy systems and forms modernizations. We do forms, but we do also any other older technologies like Power Builder or Lotus Notes, for example. All of this, we start from small proof of concept application up to enterprise scale application. So we have a lot of use cases. If you go on our website, you'll see different use cases. Today, I chose 4 of those. One about the opportunistic applications. I have 2 around the EBS extensions, and I'm going to be talking a bit about forms modernizations. So the first example is an opportunistic app. This was developed during the pandemic as a response to new and urgent needs within weeks. It's called Save Suite, and it allows end users to reserve office space and fill out surveys for a safe office return using health questionnaires and workplace reservations. Administrators can define the office space with the limitations regarding the number of people allowed and follow up on their presence in the office. They can also define health surveys adapted to rules and regulations in place. Office space users can then reserve online and fill out surveys. This application is software as a service. Companies can register online using credit card payments. The payment processing is handled via RESTful integration. It was built using Oracle Apex on the free autonomous database. It is multi-tenant, multilingual, and as you can see here, it's fully responsive and works seamlessly with any devices. We also are using it currently in different industries like construction and entertainment, insurance, and others. Another use case example is an ERP integration. It is extending e-business suite. And again, this is an important part of our business. We've done many projects in that space. In this example, we've worked with a partner to automate invoices entries in the EBS payable modules. So metadata from vendor invoices are extracted automatically from different sources and passed to the Apex invoice portal that you see here, where the end user validates. So we use Apex to validate and work through any exceptions before automatically pushing straight to e-business suite into the accounts payable. And that brings up a huge time and cost savings for users, and data entry mistakes are significantly reduced, especially if you have thousands and thousands of invoices that you need to manage per month. This other example of an EBS integration is in the retail space. So our client is a jewelry company. They had some challenges keeping their EBS system up to date during the buy online, pick up in store process. So client would order online, and then they need to go in EBS, make sure that the order has been processed, and then it's ready to deliver. And when there was pickup, then they needed to go back in the EBS system to finalize the transaction. So when there was an online order to process, the associates in the store had to go in the back store, confirm the availability of the items in the EBS system. And once the pickup was done, they needed to go back again to confirm the pickup. So you can imagine that this is a problem during high periods like Mother's Day or Christmas, for example. So using our EBS integration package and Oracle Apex, we've developed a solution that allows their store associate to quickly react to pickups and store orders using a simple web interface running on different devices like mobile, point of sales, iPads, desktop computers. That resulted in significant improvement for turnaround time for pickup in store orders, reduced time spent for store employees, and ensure an up-to-date inventory in the EBS system again. At the same time, we have also added other features like the ability
Richard texted me, so Jackie sent him the link.
Real-time availability of products and confirmation of delivery directly in EBS using a digital signature saved as an attachment with the sales order. So here I have a quick little video that shows the ready for pickup process and the customer pickup process. So this is running on an iPad. Again, it's connected in the back end to EBS. So as the store associate does the ready for pickup and does the pickup, it's automatically updating all the different processes in the EBS system. So we've used the standard reporting system. Here we see when the customer comes in store for the pickup, the salesperson can check if the payment's been done, if everything is okay, and then get the client right there in store to sign and acknowledge the delivery of the goods. You've used the standard Apex signature plugins for that, so everything has been integrated. The last use case I have is about Oracle Forms modernization. So this is another important part of our business. Over the years, we've also done many forms modernizations projects of different kinds. So one big advantage is that Oracle Forms owners have the right to use Oracle Apex at no additional cost. So I like to say Apex comes with our Oracle Forms. We've developed, we're then able to leverage the existing investment in the Oracle database. We've developed different methodologies to either extend forms applications or migrate them completely in Apex. So in this example, this is a police pension fund organization. They wanted to modernize their mortgage grant process, and it was running on two separate systems, a group of Excel files and end-of-life legacy financial monitoring system for approvals, payments, and other mortgage functionalities. So using Apex, we've developed a system that centralizes and secures all the data into a single system. And that reduces data entry tasks and errors, It is now easier to use with the new intuitive interface. All of this freeing up user time that increases member services. On top of this, we've added new dashboards, several new predefined interactive reports, and security integration with their LDAP. And faster and easier processes to manage mortgages that were not in the original system. So those were my use cases for today. Some advantages if you're new to Apex again, and if you want to use and leverage Apex, here are the reasons why we love Apex. First of all, there's really, if you have an Oracle environment, if you use Oracle tools, if you have resources that knows Oracle, SQL, PL SQL, you get really an increased return on your investment. It really is a rapid delivery tool, so a RAD tool. It's good from the low code approach to high complexity enterprise application. It brings up, you can do a very nice UI and user experience, which to us brings up productivity to the end users. You can leverage REST services, and it is now easier than ever to integrate with any technologies, bringing nice integration. And we like to say that Apex is a path to the cloud. So a lot of people that have Oracle technologies are looking for ways to use the cloud. Well, Apex is very a good way to start using the cloud and leverage the cloud in many different ways. So some advice, start small, use the creative options, leverage the low-code approach, and you'll be able to quickly build production-ready applications that are secured, performance, and scalable. Then improve them to enterprise-scale applications. Leverage the Oracle Cloud environments. You can provision quickly, have access to free databases like the Always Free tier, but also now with the new Apex service, the barrier to entry to the cloud is very low. Participate and connect with the Apex community. There's a lot of nice things that's been done out there, and a lot of people that are always ready to help and support. Check out the packaged apps in the Apex builder. There's a lot of nice examples. You can use them, you can learn from them. And one other thing before I finish, tomorrow there'll be a launch of a system called Avery. It's been built using Apex. It's a very nice use case using Apex for a public-facing application. You'll see it's quite impressive what can be done with that. And at the same time, you can help heal the planet. So don't miss this. It's at 1 p.m. tomorrow Eastern time. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Francis, thank you very much. And really thanks to Jon, Przemysław, Simon, and Francis for this. And I have a whammy question for if anyone wants to take this. I was thinking of this during today's session because it's great, right? Because Apex, you're clearly using it for more than just spreadsheet replacement. Let's say Apex didn't exist. Let's say it never was created. What would you be using today?
I think I'd be a farmer instead.
Yeah, I get another job.
Okay. Huh. Okay. I mean, it's actually a fair question. Would you be a JavaScript coder or a Java coder or .NET or jQuery? It's actually interesting.
We looked at JDeveloper a long time ago, and it just thought, I'm just not going to be able to deliver to my customers for something that takes so long. And what would have been the alternative to Apex? Probably not an Oracle product. But what that was, I don't know, but it wouldn't have been JDeveloper.
Well, in our cases, we've been using forms for quite a while. So to us, Apex kind of been like a standard or normal way of, just going to Apex from forms. It was quite easy. I would have guessed that if Apex didn't exist, that forms would have evolved differently. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I echo that.
It's interesting though, because you are a long time in the Oracle community, and yet we're trying to also approach other people who have never used Oracle in their life as this is a solution platform. And I met with a gentleman last night from Australia who he's a one-man band and creating his SaaS software. And what he says is it enables him, who's a domain expert, right? He's not a programmer, he's a domain expert. It enables him to build solutions, right? Because a programmer is just a programmer. They don't really understand finance or construction, and to empower people to build these solutions and really scalable solutions without having to be a full stack coder. And I just love the examples that every one of you demonstrated today, because it's easy to get started, but there's a long runway in terms of what's possible here. So, Francis, Simon, Przemysław, and Jon, thank you very much. I really appreciate your time and participation and sharing with the Apex community. And also, thanks to all the attendees today as well. I put in the chat, there's going to be a moderated Apex hands-on lab in March, I think March 23rd, maybe. Feel free to join us. This replay will be made available probably in the next day or so. And we look forward to seeing you next month in the next Apex office hours. Thanks again. I wish everyone a great day. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.